Wellity. Look who's back. Hello and welcome to another episode of Talking Out Loud. Thanks for staying tuned. It's been a while. Been, a month and a half now since the last recording went out. So for those that have stayed strong over that rocky period, congratulations. And but it was quite the break. So back now from the trip out to Malawi to see the work Henry Kajuranje has been up to out there, and also to see what the hell's happening in that country, because it's quite a change, I must say, to what I'm used to in the UK. So do stay tuned over the coming weeks and months. We will get there. We'll get to those pods that were recorded out in Malawi. I'm really excited to release those. I had some great conversations out there with some really interesting folks. I'm sure you're going to enjoy those. It's a little carrot to keep you dangling on here at Bankwood Bear. Outside of that, nothing much has changed. We are still plugging away, still rocking 20 subscribers, which is good to see. The dropout rate continues to be 0%, which is a remarkable statistic really when you think about it. So appreciate that one. And now I'll switch over to the pre-recorded intro to this lovely little pod. Now this is, I believe, the first water-based Talking Out Loud out there, and certainly the first canoe-based and not-based one. So, without further ado, it's an introduction to the pod for a certain Mr. Matthew Christmas, and indeed Sam Trippier. And it's the first in a number of podcasts, including these two gentlemen. So this pod was to be about three men in a boat on a trip down the River Avon in the summer of 2018 on a bit of an adventure, you could say. However, as you'll find, it rapidly evolved into a not-based podcast. So you'll get an introduction over the first few minutes to the individuals involved in the pod, and then there's a not workshop for the remainder of the pod. Now the workshop was recorded in Beezies, Riverside Cafe and Bar, another little spot located between Bath and Bristol. The workshop came about after changeable conditions were found midway through the trip down the Avon, and a pint in the bar was the preferred option. So it's a session essentially with Matt, who is a bit of a connoisseur of knots, to talk through the different knots out there, his history in knots, and indeed myself and Sam's. We run through reef knots, overhand knots, figure of 8 knots, alpine knots get a mention alongside monkey fist knots, and the highwayman's hitch knot also gets a look in. So we will be answering the big questions in this one, such as when does a string become a rope, the advantages of a figure of 8 knot over an overhand, and indeed the advantages of the horseman's hitch, and what kind of cargo you can indeed pull using this form of knot. Now, unusually, the pod ends on an apology. Now, it wasn't until long after the pod was recorded that the mistake was found, hence why the apology is actually recorded some months later in a relatively noisy, unfortunately, festival atmosphere in Wales. So, unfortunately, the audio is not great. It's a little loud towards the end, but the apology is important to get out, so do stick with us to the end there, just to make sure we air that in full. So infotainment at its finest here, I must say. Enjoy. If you don't know much about knots, this is certainly the podcast for you. If you do know about knots, do reach out and get in touch. We'd love to get you on, probably in a visual format. I'll not lie to you, I think that's probably what let this one down, but do reach out. We're all ears when it comes to knot-based fun here at Bankwood Bear. Don't be shy. Play it! So, hello and welcome to another edition. First one in a while, so thanks for tuning in. George Cressy is always leading this one. I don't think there's ever been anyone else, so that makes complete sense that it would be me.
The we.
I know, I say we
Thanks
quite
for
a lot.
joining us.
Yeah, exactly.
Grand visions of the future.
Very much so, very much so. So we are on the banks of the River Avon, not quite, the feeder canal
Feeder canal, yeah.
into the River Avon. Got a canoe, And yeah, we're making our merry way down on a Saturday morning, and thought, well, it's a nice time for a bit of a pod. So I've got with me here a couple of gentlemen. If you'd like to introduce yourselves, maybe just say name and yeah, maybe what's a good opening gambit?
Please be specific, otherwise I'll mess up.
Yeah, agreed. Oh God, something.
I'll just go with it. Yeah,
let's just go with it.
Hi, my name's Matt. I'm a friend of George's. Met him in Japan, in the lovely resort of Niseko. It's a beautiful place. I'm the local canoe guide for today's adventure. So you'll be pleased to know I've done a pretty good job of kitting the boys out with personal safety equipment. We've all got appropriate paddles, buoyancy aids and cagoules, because the weather is quite changeable today.
Yeah, tropical. Yeah, it has been. Where have we been so far?
So far we started our adventure at the Cottage Inn and went across the harbour, quick coffee at the Arnolfini, where we were laughed at, weren't we, for our attire?
No, I don't think
the lady laughed at us
initially, and then
she was laughing at us.
Yeah, but I think she was, kind of like an attractive laugh, like, these guys know how to play it.
Right.
Someone's got a great mentality. You've got a great mentality.
It's an interesting perspective, yeah. But yeah, so that was nice. Got upsold an OK cheesecake. Sam, what did you have?
Oh, I had one of the tastiest brownies I think I've ever tasted. Was it Polish? They're supplied by a Polish bakery.
It was all Polish,
Yeah. Polish bakery.
Polish beer.
Yeah. Hi, my name's Sam. I know Matt from. Well, I bumped into Matt once at a party. Our eyes met across the dance floor, and it's just been heaven since. Yeah, just got roped into this canoe trip because I was free, so really enjoying it so far. Yeah, explored some tunnels earlier. That was pretty cool.
Tunnels.
Yeah, I didn't even mention the tunnels. Went in some. So what? We went under some no access security rope. That was exhilarating. And then went into these pitch black tunnels. And it was incredible. It was like at any moment the basilisk was just going to pop out and say hello. Then we manoeuvred up to a higher section of the tunnels, and then we're going down this long dark corridor, which was getting smaller and smaller until we physically couldn't fit. So then we did the whole thing in reverse, which was like a weird sort of trippy Charlie and the Chocolate Factory adventure. Yeah, but with slimy walls and no Oompa Loompas. Yeah.
Thankfully, our worst fears of being flooded with a torrent of all of Bristol's shit and piss, they weren't realised.
Yeah, agreed. No, it's been so far so good. I think what we'll do is we'll jump in the canoe and paddle a bit further downstream, and then I guess we'll check back in.
We're going swimming.
Can do.
Did you bring shorts?
I haven't got them on me. I got boxers.
Not essential.
I got boxers. Yeah, I got boxers. I mean, skin. I got skin. So
I'd wait until we're on the Avon first.
Yeah,
the river.
Yeah. I did see a couple of dead birds earlier. So
yeah, no, we'll see. Right then, chaps. We'll see you shortly. So welcome back. We are at Beezies Riverside Cafe, on the River Avon, between Bristol and Bath. The weather is changeable. Temperamental indeed.
Very changeable.
And we've decided to stop for a bit of a pint and a knot workshop, courtesy of Matthew Christmas. So thank you. I guess.
Let's roll with it, shall we?
Yeah, please. If you could just give us a bit of an intro into sort of your experience,
okay.
And then just a bit of an intro into the knots that we'll be trying out.
So welcome everyone. My name's Matt. I've been a knotter, I suppose is the best way of describing it, for since 10 years old now.
Since 10 years, or since you were 10, or
since I was 10 years old. Yeah. Clarify that.
17.
So 17 years of enjoyable knotting.
First knot.
My first knot. Remember it very well. It was in the Scouts. of course, you know, learn
Reef.
the reef knot. That's it. Right over left and under, left over right and under. And then from then it was.
You could tie parcels for days.
Yeah, that was really the start of my love of knots, and I've really come on a long way since then. I think maybe if we go around the circle and just introduce ourselves, say what our knot experience is, and then we can roll from there, really. So maybe say your name, how long you've been a knotter for, and what's your favourite knot. So I'll start. Matt, 17 years, and favourite knot I would say is the figure of 8.
Oh, classic.
Yeah.
George. Knotting now. I want to say 21 years. I think. Honestly,
Wow.
I think
Okay. I came into this thinking I was the
I was
resident.
about 6,
Yeah.
maybe earlier. I forget
6?
now. But Dads and
Wow.
Lads. It was
farm work.
with cubs.
Okay.
Yeah. Rather than.
Was it the reef knot again for you? Or?
Honestly, all my knowledge of knots has completely evaporated.
Yeah.
I'm not lying to you. I've never been a fan of knots.
Okay. Well, hopefully
I
this
was
session will
forced
really
down the track of
change your
knots.
mind.
I hope so. It's been a real sticking point for me over these past few years. So
Yeah.
it'd be good to get a
Yeah.
fresh look
Absolutely.
at the knots.
Yeah.
'Cause,
Well,
yeah.
not making any promises, but feeling quietly confident
Great.
to change your mind.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming, George.
No, not at all. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Sam. I've been a knotter for well, since I was knee-high to a grasshopper.
Okay.
Yeah, again, first knot in the Scouts, the classic reef knot, tying parcels.
It's a good entry level knot, isn't it?
remember vividly having to tie it behind my back as part of my first knot badge.
Right. How did that go?
Oh,
Swimmingly?
Flawlessly.
Yeah.
Flawlessly. I mean, what we got. I mean, I'll just do a quick
Sure.
demonstration for the people in the
Yeah, we
room.
got it.
And then just, I mean, you got you.
Except for audio, but
Yeah.
bingo.
Yeah, you've nailed it there.
That's huge.
Quick verification.
lovely,
That
actually.
is a reef knot.
Yes.
It's a reef knot.
It's
Okay.
pleasing to the eye. The reef knot.
But my second favourite, I believe, is the
Again,
bow
a visual
line.
demonstration
okay.
happening currently.
Sailing
bow
through
knot?
these knots. I'm worried we might run out of knots.
There you go.
Fairly quickly.
So that's almost
That's
Rob's
the bow
saying.
line. Yeah, that's the bow line there.
bow
And then the
line
most
knot.
so a lot of
Ladies and
people go for
gentlemen.
the
Tough
go for
audio.
the figure of 8. I can't remember what it's called for
Climbing?
if you're climbing it's vertically up a rope. Actually, what you should be using is
So you're wrapping your hands.
the Alpine butterfly.
You may need to start explaining these more viscerally
yeah. So this
to the
is
audience.
where the learning begins. I have no idea what that is.
Oh,
okay.
fantastic!
So that you can put your weight on
So
there.
here
Just for
the
the benefit.
force stays north to south.
So you can put all your weight on that and it won't tension the knot.
So there's a small loop that that Sam's created
Can
in
you just
the
take us through that bit?
in the
Sure,
string
yeah.
that allows you to pull yourself
So-
up. We'll try and get a photo. So if you are on the
Yeah,
YouTube
we'll
channel,
put that at the end of
you
the
will be
video.
able to see
We'll go
this
for
live.
the go-to knot, which most people will do, is the figure of 8. So you start with one of these.
So that's a
Now-
bite. So you've got a bite. That's a loop
Yeah.
for the benefit of the
Yeah. So this.
listeners.
So this.
Right.
The figure of 8 is perfect if you're.
No, that's
if you're
pick you out there. That's an overhand knot.
oh yeah. Oh, I've missed out a turn.
So that's an overhand.
I've missed a turn.
We've missed a turn, ladies and gentlemen. Can we start with the principles? I just
Yeah,
feel like
we're running away with ourselves. aren't
I'm lost. I'm not gonna lie to you, Jed.
we? This feels like a kind of intermediate to advanced level knot. This one.
No, this is a basic.
Oh, basic. Okay. Ooh. Okay.
Everyone. Sorry, the overhand is the basic.
Yeah.
This is the
Let's
next
start with that. Let's
figure
start with
of
that. So overhand knot.
Okay. So we have a piece of string here.
rope.
Rope. Apologies. When does the string become rope? First of all. At what
I'd
thickness?
say after about 8 mil in diameter.
Do you think it's diametrically?
String rope. Yeah.
Okay.
I'd say you wouldn't use rope to tie a parcel.
Based on its
Yes.
function
Yeah.
more than its thickness.
But I'd say function is almost correlates diameter.
Alongside
yeah,
the
yeah,
diameter.
yeah. No, I see it.
It should be- what are these called? These threads almost. Threads, cords
Threads.
within the
Strands.
strands
We've
of
got some strands here. That's for another knot.
So is it the amount of strands that makes a rope as opposed to a piece of
I
string?
think
Very
is
nice,
it-
very well modelled.
No, because string in itself is made up of lots of different fibres or strands, isn't it?
Very
So
true.
that's essentially just a little bit of rope or thin rope.
Like everything, it can be broken down into
It's fascinating stuff.
billions.
It really is. So, shall we get back to the...
Well, actually, I just want to jump in. My
Mainly
absolute
thematic.
favourite knot is the monkey fist.
yeah, I mean, that takes time, doesn't it?
So,
We'll crack on, shall we, George?
Please.
So what we've got here is a loop of rope.
Loop of rope.
So we've got the end in my left hand and then the two tails going off to my right. And that's called a bite.
Okay.
Not a B-I-T-E, a B-I-G-H-T, I believe, is the correct.
Fascinating.
And that's the kind of starting point for a lot of knots. Not all of them, but certainly a lot of the good ones. And we'll be
So
covering
we get 2 ends on one hand.
Loop of rope.
and
Loop of rope. So what we're going to do here, first of all, is the knot that we're all aware of. Probably the simplest one you can do is that is the overhand knot.
The overhand knot.
I believe it's otherwise called a square knot.
Okay.
Just
Quite simply, you do one hand over the other,
and then through the middle.
through the middle, and pull
I think
tight.
it's one of those-
Everyone knows how to do
If
the overhand.
your knot layman were to be challenged with tying a knot out of the blue, it's probably the knot that they go
It's a
to.
knot of choice.
Yeah. So gives you a loop. Many uses. Won't go into them now. Should we move on?
Please.
So a progression of that, I suppose, would be the figure of 8. So it's almost a development of the overhand knot.
Okay.
But
an extra turn.
You do an extra turn in it. So instead of going, so you make you've got your bite. So I'm doing these knots on a bite. You can do them with just one strand of rope and then thread through, which is what you do when you're climbing if you want to get it through your harness. So you do it on. Yeah, let's stick with what I said.
Yeah.
So let's bite over and round the back and then back in, and there you have a figure of 8 knot.
So the figure of 8 advantages over the overhand.
Stronger knot.
Stronger knot.
Stronger knot.
Yeah.
More secure.
It doesn't. I believe it doesn't tension so much under load. It still does a bit, which is
doesn't-
why a lot of people prefer the bowline when climbing.
Bowline is that just absolutely locks out. So
Okay.
But it's a nice safe knot for climbing. Of
Unpickable?
course, yeah.
Quite easy to
Oh, you
unpick.
could, yeah. So when you get to the top of a climb and you've taken a couple falls, you can unthread that.
Okay.
Good way to lock it off is stop a knot. Whilst we're here.
very similar to a fisherman's knot, I believe. For tying on a hook
Yes,
at the end of
absolutely.
a fishing rod.
Yeah. You can make a loop
Intriguing.
with a double fisherman. Oh, perhaps we'll get to that. So what you do, you have the throw the rope, and then you work backwards down your thumb, a couple of loops, and then what you do is you count out from the figure of 8 end and back out. And there's your stop and knot. So, big mistake people do is they try and come this way, but actually it should be in line with the rope. There you go, and then that just stops any chance of
I'd chuck a few more coils on there.
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
I mean, I like it to look like another hand is holding on to the end of my rope. So I'd chuck at least another 2 loops on there.
Interesting.
Gives me satisfaction.
Much this really.
Fascinating. So is that more based on your own anxiety levels? It's
more of an aesthetics point, I think. Yeah. More of an aesthetics point.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't say the purpose is for the rope so that it can't go up and loosen the knot. It doesn't really add an additional level of.
Essentially, you're tidying up your end so that there's no chance of it unthreading itself. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's a really clever knot.
Yeah. It's good. It's good. Simple as well. Nice.
Brilliant.
That's lovely.
That is a lovely bit of that. I just take it very quick.
Got a good one to follow on with.
It's not sit down tension under load.
Yeah.
Highwayman's hitch.
He's got it.
Fantastic.
Oh, actually,
I mean,
no. This is
Essentially a hitch with a loop in, and one end of the loop is holding the horse on, and it can't tug. But the loose end, if you pull it, the whole knot just comes completely undone.
it's like an elven.
So I'll-
almost.
Yes,
what
it
you
is.
need-
It is the human equivalent.
Fantastic.
And it's got a good application for canoeing as well. If you're towing a boat
Yeah.
you can do a highwayman's hitch on the boat, but you want it to be quick release.
Yes.
So if you get into any difficulty, so you don't want to turn a boat down a rapid. If that boat gets stuck on a rock, then you're stuck to it. There's all kinds of situations where you want to let that go, and just look after numero uno. That's number one for the non-Spanish speakers.
Through it goes.
Again, start with a bite of rope.
Feed it
Through
through.
your handle. Take the long end. Tighten it up with the short end. Take the short end. Bite of rope through the loop. Tighten it up with the long end.
Okay.
Give that a good old tug. You happy with that one, Sam?
Yeah.
So that is how you'd pull your cargo.
Okay.
Whether it's a canoe, horse. No, that's not cargo, is it? What?
Horse can be cargo.
Yeah, if it was tranquilized.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, you wouldn't drag it through the streets. would you?
No, on wheels.
Gotcha.
So
If it was in a
getting
trailer.
bogged down, but anything you want to pull with a rope, essentially.
Donkey.
Pull your donkey.
We have to be
with
careful.
Your cart.
Yeah, I think, for the sensitive listeners out there.
Right.
Carry on, I'm just messing with it.
Yeah. So pull on that.
Yep.
Anytime you get into some difficulties, you want to let go of that cargo. Give this one. Why don't you give that a
Give
little
the
tug?
short
That's
end.
all right. Give it a little tug. See what happens.
Cool.
Bit harder. Ooh. Hey.
That's really
Yeah,
impressive.
that's a good one.
Right, I think that warrants a small video. I think.
Yeah.
Do you want to? If needs be. I
is
think
the-
you're going
Yeah,
to
you
struggle.
do.
Highwayman's
Yeah,
2 seconds. I mean, that's 10 minutes on knots, dude. Sorry to inform you. So I hope you enjoyed the podcast, first of all. For those of you who are listening, there has been a grievous error that's occurred during the last bit of audio that you heard. Luckily, we've got Matt here with us, and Sam as well. And Matt, if you'd like to explain just a little about what happened.
Rather sheepishly, I suppose the first thing I'd like to say is that I'm deeply and genuinely sorry for the mistake I've made. I believe I described the reef knot as equivalent to an overhand knot in our knot-based workshop chat that was recorded. This really pains me to say, but it's a glaring error. Those two knots are not the same. They are not equivalent. They're actually quite different knots. Once again, I'm very, very sorry for any inconvenience this caused to the knot community out there, and I hope you can all move on. Once again, apologies for my mistake. Is that okay?
Thank you.
Is the same as
So, first of all, I must say thank you again for the honesty you've shown in coming back to admit that to the audience. And
the least I could do, really, given the gravity of the situation. I think it's the least I could do.
I'd agree, and for that reason, I implore you all to forgive Matt for that. I personally do, and I hope you all can as well. No, not at all.
I appreciate there are others out there that it will take time. That'll take time. But I just want to start the healing process, really.
Appreciate that. I really do. So with that, I'll leave you. And if you are offended, do write in, and yeah, we can get back to probably draft some sort of email to you. Okay, thank you. Bankwood Bear Productions.
Cheap and chill.